Today we're getting real honest and talking about all the rules of boondocking that they don't normally tell you about.
Leave your neighbor some space.
Uh-oh, Craig's getting a little spicy with his opinions here. Just cause there's no hookups doesn't mean there's no cost. Don't worry, you're also joining us on our journey as we head from one boondocking spot on the East Coast to another. Check out how low the front is. We're on such a hill. The roads are about narrower than they were down in Mexico. It's crazy. We're riding right on the white line, and sometimes there's nothing on the other side of the white line either. And as always with us, it's a wild adventure. Had traffic all backed up on this road. I said we weren't gonna have to scout ahead, but I lied. I don't know how we're gonna make this turn.
I'm hoping no cars will come long enough for me to pull forward, back the trailer down that one, and then pull out. Hopefully, I don't know. It's gonna be difficult.
What the heck, guys? What the heck? It was just supposed to be a simple campground with a field that we were boondocking in. Oh my goodness, I have to show you what I just found in the bedroom. Guess what we're doing right now?
Just sitting around, doing nothing. It was cloudy all day yesterday and our batteries didn't get to charge. Also, we're surrounded by tall trees and only get like, I don't know, 4 hours of sun.
It's not a great boondocking spot when it comes to solar, but we are at a boondocking spot on the East Coast, and today we're going to be going over all of the unwritten rules of boondocking, because when it comes to boondocking, you know, there are very few actual written rules, and it can be intimidating for somebody who's never done it before.
We're getting 23 amps now.
Nice! We're gonna be out of here before you know it, but I am going to show you a little bit more of this spot that we're at. So the first and biggest rule of boondocking, in my opinion, if you're gonna venture out, start going off grid, take your RV to these beautiful places with the best views, you better have a backup plan, because it is not guaranteed that whatever spot you have picked out is gonna work.
Flashback.
Stop, stop, stop. I think we're good. Whoa, whoa, we're like leaning way too far.
End of flashback.
Even with this spot right here, which I had to reserve, mind you, so I knew it was gonna be available, I didn't know if we were actually gonna be able to get here because there was 0 reviews on Campendium, and I didn't know what the road in was really like. I looked on Google Maps and I saw this nice open space, which is why I picked it, but I didn't know, so I had some backups at a truck plaza for an overnight and another like overnight spot where we could just go if something went wrong, stay 24 hours and figure out where the heck we were going next. And if you joined us last week, you know that we almost didn't make it up this, like, I don't know what % grade, but the highest grade that we have ever been up.
Whoa!
We are climbing.
Oh my goodness. This is probably the steepest hill we've been on.
Oh my gosh, this is really steep. You can't tell it in the camera, but whoa.
Rule number 2, and this is if you just want everybody out there with you to like you a little more, turn off your lights at night. You're going boondocking. A lot of people are out there for the dark skies. You get to see the stars, especially if you grew up like in a city or something. You don't get to see stars in the city. So you go out there in the dark, you get to see stars. But no, you don't, because everybody goes out there and turns on all their bright LED lights and their docking lights for no reason. You don't need them. If you're outside walking the dogs, that's a different story, but you don't need them on all night long.
Uh-oh, Craig's getting a little spicy with his opinions here.
Especially shining in other people's. Although, I guess if like you're far enough away from
yeah, I guess if you're around nobody, then turn your lights on all night long if you want. But we don't often get to be around nobody when we're boondocking because we are a big rig, and we'll touch on that a little bit more later in terms of the proximity to your neighbors when boondocking.
I don't know about this Pennsylvania. Look at him.
Gosh, why is there so many bugs around here? Don't you flick that at me.
Don't do that.
No, stop it, stop it.
It's crawling on you.
Let's not, stop it. He was trying to throw it in my face. I think he was doing that on purpose. And the other thing we've been battling lately is stink bugs. Oh my gosh, there's so many stink bugs here. Put it in the comments below if you've been battling stink bugs lately. Okay, hopefully we don't take a bunch of bugs with us because those were gross.
I think they get in your ears.
Ugh.
I don't know why they're called earwigs.
Rule number 3 from future me with a haircut. Here's a sneak peek. But Craig told me that my rule number 3 wasn't a real rule and we had to have a new one. So now we're gonna talk about leashing your dogs and whether or not you have to, shouldn't leash your dogs when you're boondocking. Now, some counties will have their own leash laws, and you might want to look that up and figure it out and follow those accordingly. However, the general rule that we follow when it comes to leashing our dogs has to do with whether or not there are other people around. So if we're boondocking and we're out in a spot and there's nobody around that we can see for miles, we'll let our dogs run around off leash, get all that energy out. They're border collies, they've got a lot of energy. However, if we are parked right next to people who have their own dogs or kids or don't have any dogs, but we're right next to them and we don't know what they have, we're gonna walk our dogs on a leash to make sure that they're not running up to them or that other dogs don't run up to them, just to have more control over the situation. And that is the rule that we suggest people follow as well, because we've been in places where it's been very crowded and people didn't leash their dogs and we've had their dogs run up on our dogs, and that's not a very nice situation to be in. But I'm curious what you think. Leave your comments down below. Oh, and my rule number 3 that I had said was that there's no checkout time, which is true. I guess it's more of a benefit than a rule, but another thing we love about boondocking. Which does bring us to rule number 4, which is always arrive before dark. I mean, you can arrive after dark if you want to, but if you have a big rig, I highly suggest you arrive before dark, because you don't know what the road conditions are like. You don't know if there's gonna be any spots, and it can be very dark out there in some of these boondocking spaces, and you don't wanna get stuck off in a ditch or run into a pothole because you can't see it. So just time things accordingly to arrive before dark. Oh, and arrive enough before dark so that if plan A doesn't work out, you can still arrive to plan B or plan C before dark as well. Where are we at?
12.8 volts.
I think that's good.
It's like 5% battery. Yeah, so we're waiting for our batteries on here to charge up a little with the solar, and we're almost at 13 volts.
Okay, we're almost packed up and ready to go. But rule number 5, and this one's actually a written rule, but I have to say it because it's leave no trace. So when you're out on public lands, it is written rules, similar to like how some places only have a 14-day stay limit. They also, in those same rules, will tell you to leave no trace. Obviously, that means don't leave your trash out there wherever you're camping. It also means don't go cutting down whole trees or digging big holes and things like that. And of course, this seems kind of obvious, but it means it makes boondocking a little bit more difficult because you're responsible for finding your own amenities. So like garbage disposal, you've got to go find a dumpster. Most BLM places don't have dumpsters at them. Some do, but most don't. So you've got to think about that ahead of time. All right, we got enough power to go?
Yep.
Okay, did we tell you? I don't think we told you. We're going to another boondocking spot over here on the East Coast. I just feel so happy every time I get to say that because you know there's not much boondocking out here on the East Coast. But this spot we're going to breaks a number of the rules that we're sharing with you, and it's a little bit different. So stay tuned to see where we end up at. But for now, we've got to lift this thing up probably a million feet because it's so low.
Oh God, there's cold.
It is pretty chilly. Overnight, it just turned to winter.
It's getting colder.
Come on, you Floridian wearing flip-flops talking about how cold you are.
It's the only shoes I got, guys. They won't let me buy any other clothes.
That is false. That is false. Okay, first we're gonna put the slides in before we hook up the truck. That's what we normally do. Turn the water pump off. You ready?
Now we can hook up the truck. Somebody didn't want to bring the slides in.
But I mean, check out how low the front is. This is like, we're on such a hill, but we had to strategically park where we could get the most sun and the most starlings. And I did have 3 chocks behind the wheel on this big angle. Had to be extra safe. I knew it wasn't rolling forward. Says winding road next 1.5 miles. And I think I saw a warning about 11% grade.
Turn right on Cheneyville Cove Road.
Here we go. Wow, it was just like totally turned to fall overnight. Look at this. We're about to fall down the mountain with as steep as it is.
It is steep.
Stay in reduced gear.
We finally made it down the mountain. It was like 2.5 miles long, I think, but just gotta go slow.
Just pulled up to the Love's gas station. We're about to dump our tanks and fill our freshwater tanks, which brings us to rule number 6. You must dump your tanks when you're boondocking at a dump station, not on the public land that you're at. So that means you're going to need to find places before and after you're done boondocking that have dump stations available to the public. Sometimes we can find free dump stations at like county parks. Sometimes we pay for them at like Love's. We pay about $10 and we use Campendium and iOverlander to find these spots. But it basically means you have two options when it comes to your tank management. One is what we do is we know we can go about 2 weeks on our tanks before our gray tanks and our black tank needs to be dumped. So we basically limit our boondocking stays to up to 2 weeks. The other thing you can do is get something called a honey wagon, which I don't know why they call it that because it does not smell like honey, but it's basically a 30-gallon tote that you can put your black waste or your gray waste into and then take to a dump station and dump it and then come back so that you don't have to move your entire rig. Now again, that's only 30 gallons, so you're gonna be either making multiple trips or going more often. But this really just goes back to planning for your own amenities when you're boondocking.
We made it to the Lowe's State dump station. This dump station is very weirdly placed. There's like parking spots right in front of like where our truck is, and somebody's parked there, so I can't pull up far enough to get, I had to use all my dumps hoses to be able to reach it. It's just, I don't know, the design was weird. Rule number 7, be prepared for repairs, which means depending on how adventurous you are to get into your boondocking spot, repair techs or tow trucks may not be able to make it to you. So it'd be a good idea to at least carry a few tools with you and maybe understand some of the systems on your rig. I'm actually enrolled in the RV Tech course for RV owners. We'll put a link in the description for that, but it is super helpful if you really don't have any knowledge on it or you want to improve your knowledge on doing your own repairs on your rig. It's a great tool to use. You can do it at your own pace, so there's no like obligation to do 10 hours a day or anything like that. You just do as much as you want for a day or whatever. So it's really nice. Right after we bought this rig and got in it and moved to one of our first boondocking spots, we had an electrical issue and I had to rewire the whole jack's motherboard into the RV and take the old one out. I had to replace some wire and everything, so which I have a home inspecting background, so I understood that. But if I had not had that, this course would have been super great for a situation like that. So it's a great course.
Got us pulled off on the side of the road in backwoods of West Virginia.
Yeah, Pete.
But there's a church right there, so we should be safe. I'm actually really excited to be back in West Virginia. We came here once before with the RV during winter to a ski resort where we only had partial hookups and all of our tanks froze and it was awful. But the skiing was fun, the views were great, and now we're back during the fall and it's much prettier and the weather is much nicer. Look at these views. It's really pretty out here, actually. And the mountains. Fall trees changing colors. We're about 20 minutes out from our next boondocking spot, which totally breaks rule number 8, which is scout ahead. And when we get there, you're gonna understand why we just don't have to follow that rule at this specific spot.
That is wrong.
The roads are about narrower than they were down in Mexico. It's crazy. We're riding right on the white line, and sometimes there's nothing on the other side of the white line either. I didn't know it was gonna be such an adventure coming to this spot. Can we fit in here? Had traffic all backed up on this road. I said we weren't gonna have to scout ahead, but I lied because even though we're supposed to be pulling into a campground where I asked if they had room for a 35-foot fifth wheel, I don't know how we're gonna make this turn. We just couldn't get past, like we were gonna clip these poles. I don't know. Another entrance, but we passed it because it didn't look that great. So now we're gonna go up the road some and try to turn around and maybe get into that entrance, or maybe coming at it from this other way might be better.
So we're gonna try and use this little 3-way intersection. I'm hoping no cars will come long enough for me to pull forward, back the trailer down that one, and then pull out this way. Hopefully, I don't know, it's gonna be difficult. But we got a couple people right here. I'm not sure what they're doing. They're just kind of walking back and forth on the road, and I just don't want any added stress to the situation. So I'm trying to wait on them to figure out what they're doing in life.
Luckily, there was a little pull-off on the side of the road, so this is where we're sitting for now. What the heck, guys? What the heck? It was just supposed to be a simple campground with a field that we were boondocking in, which is why I was like, okay, easy peasy, no boondocking stress. The boondocking stress is still here. That entrance isn't working. We can try this first entrance, and if that doesn't work, I guess we're just out of here.
I don't even know how, like, we're gonna have to go out of this one to leave.
Yeah. Let's see if we think, and this road is so much busier than you would think for a random back road. I think this one, as long as we don't hit the, or go off in a ditch or something. Okay. How does that side look back there? Oh, he's saying, come on, straighten out. Oh, goodness gracious. Hey.
Well, we tried to come in that second one because, I don't know, this one seemed tight because it was closer to it. Yeah. And that one, there's no way. I don't even know if I'll be able to leave out of that one. Yeah, just the fine coming out of here.
All right, he's moving some picnic tables for us. Should have just came in the first entrance first. I don't know, but
I don't know if I could
have from when we were on that side of the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, ooh, we're in here now though. We're getting it. Okay, we're in the middle of trying to get leveled. Auto level is going. But back to scouting ahead. You are always the one responsible for making sure that you can take your rig where you're trying to go with it. So one way I scout ahead is using Google Maps. I will look ahead and try to figure out what roads we want to take on the boondocking spots that we're trying to go to, where potential spots might be so we can be on the lookout for them as we're driving down the road. But if we ever come to a corner or road where we aren't sure what's around the bend, we stop, we get out, we take a look around, we walk ahead to make sure we can go. If we're not sure if we're gonna make a turn, we don't just go for it, except for that one time when we hit the tree. I don't know, that was a thing. Not guaranteed you'll never make mistakes, but if you have the mindset that you always scout ahead, you'll be much more likely to boondock unscathed. Thank goodness those things extend, because we often need to.
Yeah. All right.
These slides out.
I think that second jump, Maverick, was a little unnecessary.
Oh my goodness, I have to show you what I just found in the bedroom. I also made Craig think it was way worse than what it actually is when I said that the first time to him, but look. Stink bug, stink bug, stink bug, stink bug, stink bug. They're everywhere. And you can't even like smush them. You have to carefully take them outside to make them go away because they stink. Okay, we're gonna have to finish sorting out that stink bug problem later. We're getting ready to go on a hike. And while we're getting ready, I'm gonna tell you about rule number 9 of boondocking. It's not always free. So the spot we're in, we're paying $20 a night to stay here, but it is much cheaper than a lot of the full hookup campgrounds that we can find with availability. So we're still winning, but just be aware, just because there's no hookups doesn't mean there's no cost. In fact, the last place we stayed in Pennsylvania, we had to pay $15 a night for, and now we're paying again to go boondocking, but still saving overall on campground cost. When it's a campground, it's pretty easy to know when there is a cost to stay, obviously. But for state or national forest or wildlife management areas, the best way to know if there's a cost is to just go to the website that is usually always linked on the Campendium listing, and then you'll be able to see if there are any fees or rules about staying there.
So rule number 10 is when you pull up to your boondocking spot, leave your neighbors some space. Don't park right on top of them, especially if there's a lot of space in the area, or maybe just park there long enough to go scout out an area. It is first come, first served, and generally there's no rules with boondocking, but out of courtesy, just kind of leave your neighbors some room and space. The whole point in boondocking is to get out there and enjoy nature and space, because a lot of campgrounds are packed and congested, so it's nice to have a little space.
The dogs are getting to go with us today because this hike shouldn't be too bad, but it's supposed to be really, really awesome views. And when we get back, we're gonna let you know all about rule number 11, which has to do with generators, whether you should use them, shouldn't use them, when you should use them, when you're out boondocking. Craig does not think we're making it back before dark, do you?
No.
It's gonna be a speed hike. I think we might, hopefully. This is the Seneca Rocks Trail in West Virginia, and it is windy, and it's a steady uphill.
Yeah,
it's
not too bad.
Not too bad. I think it's good, not too difficult for the dogs.
A lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people, but the payoff is the view at the end. All right, we're almost to the viewing platform. This is our pet cow. What is wrong with him? Always trying to eat some salad. Well, we made it to the end of the trail, and guess what?
Starting to rain.
Also, guess what?
What?
It's still light outside. It's going to rain harder. It was such nice blue pretty skies when we left, and the view at the top was a little bit tainted by very cloudy skies, but overall still a good hike. I'm glad the dogs got to come with us, right?
You think this coffee's still good?
Probably so.
It's kind of cold still.
Oh, then it's good. It was just from this morning, guys. Don't worry. It's not multiple days old coffee.
Said you.
Now we gotta find dinner, head back to the RV. Oh, and for the record, it only took us like an hour and 20 minutes to do the hike, so Craig did not have
Thanks
faith
to
in us.
me. Thanks to me.
What, you think you keep the pace?
Oh yeah.
No, Maverick keeps the pace.
No, he don't. He'd be munching on every plant all the way down.
Leland's not even tired. He's still running circles back there.
What's in your fur, boy? Tick? No.
No, just a dirt. What a day. We are in our new spot. We did a pretty cool hike, and now, as promised, the last rule of boondocking, Rule 11, use generators considerately. So for almost a year, we boondocked with only a generator and a couple of batteries. We didn't have any solar because we wanted to make sure that we were really going to like boondocking, and we were building out our system one component at a time because it's pricey to build out a solar system. But anyways, during that time, we used our generators to charge up our batteries, and we usually followed basically the rules that like state parks will have. We respected quiet hours from say 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. and we only ran our generator during the day, and usually didn't run it all day long because that's a waste of fuel anyways. You only need to charge your batteries up real quick and then you're good to go. There are no official rules on generators use on public lands most times, and some people will run their generators all night long. And are they allowed to do that? Sure, maybe, but we generally try to follow the rule of just be considerate, especially if you're close by your neighbors. That's the other thing. If you're out there and around, nobody's around, you do what you want. But a lot of times, because we have a big rig, we end up pretty close to people, and so we would always try to respect the unofficial quiet hours. But let us know in the comments what you think in terms of generator use and being on public lands, and what you think should or shouldn't be allowed down in the comments below. And now we're settling in for a chilly night tonight. It is going to be in the 30s. Luckily, our furnace is going to be able to run, though it does drain the batteries quicker. Another thing to think about when you're boondocking. If this was helpful for you guys who are just thinking about boondocking, or maybe not sure if you actually want to start or it seems intimidating to you, let me know. And as always, thank you so much for joining us on this week's adventure. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe to catch the next one, because we're continuing our journey out here on the East Coast. See you guys next week.